Want your drawings to pop with color? Stick around, because by the end of this video you'll know how to pick the right colors for your art, ones that match the mood you want and work beautifully together. I walk you through it using my own character, so you can easily adapt the tips to your own art. So, I chose mainly warm colors, because Fred is a happy guy, and yep, even this very dark green color is on the warmer side too, but more on that in a second. I also added a few cool colors because he's confident too, so let's break it down. So what makes a color feel happy or calm or angry? It's all about the mood it carries. So bright, warm colors like red, orange, yellow, and even some greens like this yellowish green shout, yay! They are the comfy throwers, the sunshine huggers. Cool colors like purples, blues, and some other greens are more like, shh, it's okay. They give your drawing a chill, peaceful vibe. And bold, dark colors, ooh, they bring the drama. They can make a character look strong and serious. So the first question to ask ourselves is, do I want my drawing to whisper, sing, or scream?
I'm not gonna sing.
Okay, you don't need to, only the colors will. So now I'm gonna remove the lights and shadows to make it easier to study the color harmony. Much simpler now, right? So I wanted to give Fred a happy vibe, so I choose a bright tone for the main color. And if you look at this green, it leans a bit yellowish. That small shift makes it feel warmer and more cheerful. This will be the focus point of the drawing, or at least I hope it will be, beside of his face, of course. The blue adds a peaceful touch, while the reddish bits give the whole thing some balance, because they pop just enough to keep the drawing from feeling flat or monotone. But what's the magic rulebook behind picking these colors? Meet the main players. These are the color combos you really can go wrong with. First, we've got the complementary colors. These sit opposite each other on the color wheel. No matter which one you pick, its opposite is always the complementary pair. Super useful when you want intensity, high contrast, bold results. Here can be mentioned the split complementary colors, which is about one main color and the two neighbors of its opposite. You can use it when you feel that the complementary colors are too sharp, or this way you can soften them a bit. Great balance, less tension. Next up, the triadic colors. These are evenly spaced around the wheel, colorful but balanced. You will also hear about square and rectangle color schemes. These are basically two complementary pairs, great for variety and richness, like a full party of hues. And let's not forget the analogs colors. These are neighbors on the wheel. We use this combination to make the picture calm and harmonious, since we are talking about color harmony after all. Super harmonious, low drama. And there's the monochromatic approach too, just one color, but with all its tints, shades and tones. They can be used to create a calming and sophisticated effect, similar to the analogs colors. Oh my gosh, how many colors, Andrews! Can you even follow me at this point? Stick with me, because we are about to clean up this rainbow chaos. So, back to our body. I wanted the Fred to be colorful, right? So I didn't use the analogs and monochromatic combos too subtle. I also skipped complementary colors because I wanted to use at least 3-4 colors now, so nope. So that left me with square and rectangle, split complementary, and triadic combos. All of them include 3-4 colors. I figured out that I wanted his sweater to be some kind of bright yellowish green, right? And the trousers a matching blue. But I also knew I'd need some contrast to make the picture really colorful and balanced. So I set my primary color to green and stared at the color wheel again. I finally saw it. Split complementary colors. That's what I needed. This is colorful, more option to tweak the color shades, so okay, got it, this color combo could work, but we don't want to just throw all these colors onto Fred, because poor guy would end up looking like a walking paint factory accident or some, so let's fix that with some color harmony magic. So I picked the yellowish green color from here, which I decided would be my main color, and I started dragging the little circle in the middle until I found my final shade. So now if we move the selector toward white, it lightens the color. Of course, we call it tint. If we pull it toward black, it darkens the color. That's a shade. And if we move toward the gray, the color becomes more muted or dull. We call it tone. Now just play around with it a bit. Want something bright or a bit more subtle, dull and quiet. So in this case, I picked something like this. Right, that feels right. I also knew I wanted blue as my second color, so I headed over to the bluish section of the wheel and started testing shades. And here comes the trick that always gets me. What shade of the blue will actually work best? I wanted the focus to stay on the green sweater and, of course, on his face. So I picked a darker, less vibrant blue for the trousers. That way it doesn't steal the spotlight. Then I remembered I needed red, or at least something in the reddish zone. So I wandered over the reds and started testing again. Tried everything. Darker, too moody. I wanted this piece to feel bright and colorful. And since I already had a dark blue, I figured I should balance it with something lighter. Not neon, not screaming bright, just a soft, warmer red. Yes, that could work. Now we have left only with his hair. His skin just can't be red unless you let it burn in the sun. So I colored his shoe to red, but his hair, nope, can't be red. So I needed to adjust this red color into some brownish, some kind of brick red. So I picked the red color and started to tweak it towards brown, moving around a bit here or there, what could match to our bright green and dark blue. And I ended up pick this color. So this part is really the whole point of the process. Finding the right version of the colors we've chosen. Once we've decided which colors we want to use, finding the right variation of each color is the secret sauce, I think. Experimenting with the shades, tints and tones is the key to giving or drawing that final polished look. But we don't need to go over this really hard way from scratch. Here comes the color palettes in the picture. The internet is full with predefined color palettes, and we can use them from inspiration or actually use some of them at our drawing. Then once, if we are familiar with the rules, the tips and tricks, we can try to create our own color palettes, as I've done in this case. And I added the reddish and brownish colors only a little bit to the drawing, because that's one thing that I choose my colors, find the right shades, tints and tones. But there is another thing which we have to be aware of, and this is the rule of how much we use from these colors in our drawing. So this is the 60-30-10% rule, and this means that you use about 60% of your dominant color. Now you can see it clearly that I couldn't make it. That's why I made a background which supports the greenish tone. Then 30% from the secondary color, and there is a tiny amount, around 10% of the accent color, which is not much but essential. That little 10% is the cherry on the top that brings balance and energy. It is usually used as the spotlight. It tells the eyes where to look. Yeah, I wanted his sweater to be in the spotlight at first, but since it's already this big, bright chunk of the drawing, I figure that's the natural first focus point. Then maybe your eyes wander to the shoe and so on, or maybe I'm just imagining it. And we are not ready yet, because this is all nice and everything, but we can upgrade this state with adding some contrast to the drawing. How? With shadows and highlights. So it's time to bring back the shadows and highlights to give back them to Fred. So what do we know about lights and shadows? One thing's for sure, highlights are lighter and shadows are darker than the base colors. Shocking revelation, right? Truly, I'm blowing minds here. So we could use only this approach to throw some light and shadows to the picture, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like when we do this. And after I'm gonna show you something else, some much more cool things as well. So first we need to decide which direction the light comes from. Now we could go into details that the light could comes from a lamp or from the sun, which there will be in our case now. And I could fill in another episode, and I'm surely will, with that is this cold or warm light, because it will be much effect on the colors. Warm lights are more yellowish, cold lights are more bluish, but for now let's imagine we are outside with Fred. The sun's shining brightly and the light is coming from this direction. It's from Fred's right side, a little bit in front of him and from above his head. So which parts will it reach directly and make them lighter? It will reach this part and this and this. Every point which is in the way of the light wave, which means that every point which is unreachable for the light wave, because something as blocks the light source, is on the other side, the opposite. These surfaces or points get the least light, so they are the darkest. So now, knowing which part do we need to color with lighter colors and which one darker, we can start to apply these twisted colors. So for example, pick this color, lighten it by moving a bit towards the white, and we got a nice lighter version of this color. Apply it, check it if we like it or not, tweak it. If it's not the best choice, apply again and move to the next one. Okay, now this is just me doing exact same thing a couple of more times. Instead of making you see through all that in real time, I speed it up because you don't need to watch me slowly color like a very determined snail. Done. This is the final version, but wait a bit, this doesn't look like what I've done before. It's a bit different. But what's the difference? The shadows and highlights are so much different. It's because I've used another technique, adding highlights and shadows in the previous thread. What I did was this. Instead of tweaking the colors, simple just adding white to the highlights and black to the shadows, I choose different colors from the color wheel. I'm gonna show you. I remove these shadows and highlights now. So first, let's see the green color again. Our previous lighter color was something like this. But if I try to choose another color from the ring by bringing my picker towards the yellow, then I get more yellowish color. Let's apply this color now. See how saturated it turned? Much, much brighter, much happier than by adding only white to it. Now let's see the blue color. I pick the color and bring the picker just a slightly bit towards turquoise. Lighten a bit more and apply. Wow, impressive, I think. Let's try it with the skin color as well. Pick a lighter pinkish color and apply. And let's hit the fast forward button again while I choose the remaining highlights and shadows. I always gonna pick another color from the color wheel. And ta-da! We got lights and shadows all with different colors. Still is not a chaos. Why? Because we used very similar new colors, basically analog colors, to make lighter and darker bits. And if you remember, analog colors brings harmony, chillness to the picture and not chaos. And another interesting thing happened while we were coloring Fred. Apparently I'm getting hungry, but I can handle it. Anyway, we actually ended up using two color schemes, rectangle for our base colors and now analog colors for the shadows and highlights to make it pop. And now we are done coloring Fred properly. Phew, that was exhaustible. What do you think? Hello? Is anybody still there? Alright, for those of you who stuck around, I've got something to show you, cause here comes the first try cam, aka my very first very messed up attempt. So what it is all about? Well, here you can see my first try at coloring Fred. Yep, thought it would be fun to show you how it all began back when I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. And of course, my software decided to troll me because every time I came back, the colors turned out way darker than before. Total bug, which meant, yep, starting from scratch. Again and again. That ate up days of progress, but eventually I cracked it, fixed the issue, and finally moved forward. So I dove into pictures, lectures, picture lectures, and lecture pictures. I kept trying and failing and trying again until slowly it started to take shape. I mean, colors. So that's the very short version of a very long process. I hope that after watching this lesson, things will be much easier for you than they were for me. So this was only a kickstart for my cartoony drawing series, but I will show you lots of interesting and educating things drawing in a cartoony style. For now, we'll continue the series with more character drawings like exploring head shapes, facial features, hairstyles, body types, poses, line work, and more and deeper lessons on coloring. Later, we will draw objects, backgrounds, so stick around if you're interested in things like that. Feel free to boop the like button anytime to let me know if you are enjoying the trip, or subscribe the channel and you will definitely won't miss my next video. Until then, keep drawing, keep growing. See you in the next one.